Welcome back to the Leaders in Conversation with Nomazibulo Changa. Today we'll be talking about a topic that's very close to my heart, which is inclusive leadership. These are one of the topics and are one of the things that I want us to discuss when we bring forth our C-suite leaders to unpack what does leadership mean for each individual and how does one navigate the space in corporate by becoming a great leader. So I want to talk about leadership, and I want to start by defining what leadership means for me. Okay, so for me, leadership is the capacity to influence through inspiration generated by a passion and a vision, which is generated by a conviction that comes from purpose. This purpose is manifested through talents and your unique identity, meaning your unique skills and your unique value proposition. So that is what leadership means to me. And another thing that we must know about leadership is that in corporate, whether you are leading in corporate, in any space that you are leading with, but leadership starts with yourself. You cannot lead in any entity, in any department without, or any team without leading yourself first. So leadership is a very difficult thing to do because there is no manual for leadership. We do have all the books that are available to us. We do have all the resources around leadership and all the tools that are available to us around leadership. But there is no manual that was tested that if you read this manual about leadership, this is what it's going to work. So leadership then becomes critical in terms of identifying what you as an individual, who you are, and what values do you subscribe to. So leadership is really an inside job. So I often ask myself, when I talk about leadership, what is it that I want people to take from me as a leader? I spoke about influence, and really, leadership is not assuming a certain position. Leadership is assuming a responsibility, and within that responsibility, having the vision, having the influence, having the passion to lead people. And sometimes when you are leading, it does not necessarily mean that you'll be placed in a position where you will have people reporting to you in order for you to lead. So really, for me, leadership starts with knowing yourself. Self-awareness in leadership becomes critical, meaning identifying with yourself in terms of your emotions, your beliefs, your backgrounds, etc. And how does that shape you? And how do you show up in leadership positions? Or generally, how do you show up in life? So leadership for me, again, is about the declaration of independence. So once you declare your independence from how you were brought up and how your family backgrounds, as well as your culture and your land of birth, because we know those are the things that shape who we are and how we become and how we show up in the world. So once you are leading with a worldview that I am Black, you will go into a leadership position with the intention that you are Black, so certain things have to come to you or certain favors has to happen because you are Black. But leadership, it's all about stripping off all of that and really declaring independence. It feels like when you assume a leadership role, you need to start from scratch, and don't be, be mindful of the fact that you've got your background and you've got your cultural values that you're coming from. But when you do lead, you need to declare yourself of that independence so that you can start afresh. And when we talk about inclusive leadership, which are the 6 traits that have been, researched by Deloitte, where they talk about inclusive leadership. When we talk about inclusive leadership, we're of course talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, which are some of the topics that we'll be engaging on further during the Leaders in Conversation. So we're talking about curiosity. An inclusive leader, what does an inclusive leader looks like? So an inclusive leader should have these traits and characteristics. The first one is curiosity. So an inclusive leader should be curious. When you are curious, I'm going back to the definition of declaring your independence, meaning stripping yourself and starting from scratch and really looking at things with an open mind and really having a foresight so that you are able to anticipate things and you are able to be open-minded about even the people that you are leading, but also be open-minded about your own blind spots. And then also inclusive leadership, one of the traits is self-awareness. Self-awareness is really taking a deep dive into yourself. And unfortunately, a mirror is not going to do that for you. So it's important that you really ask yourself thought-provoking questions and you ask yourself questions that allow you to really go deeper in you in order to understand yourself. Because once you understand yourself, you understand your behavior, you understand how you show up, you will be able to lead better in society and also in corporate. Commitment is another trait which is important. When we talk about commitment, we're talking about being invested. Being invested meaning that, firstly, doing the right thing, even if no one is watching, and really doing the right thing, even if it does not seem common. So there is this notion that when something is common, it's the right thing to do, but it does not necessarily mean that. It means that you really have to interrogate each and every decision with its intentionality to understand what are the consequences of the decision that I'm about to make, or what is the consequence of my position, so that you are able to, you are able to take accountability for those consequences when it comes to commitment. So please do tune in into our podcast, which will be available in various platforms.